Welcome to the Gameology Observatory. We are your gameologists. I'm Bomb.
Dora.
And I'm Tommy.
If you want to stay up to date on what we are doing, follow our social medias and join us in the Gameology Discord community. All the links will be in the description below. It's dangerous to go alone, so come along with us as we discover some recent games and technology news that have been announced.
Alright, to get started of our first of many topics we have today to discuss, we have Conan Unconquered. Conan Unconquered is released, due to be released May 30th, 2019. It's like an RTS style Conan the Barbarian themed game, focused heavily on it being more of a wave clearing style of RTS. You build your own little settlement, and then you set that up and get it to be prepared for the never-ending onslaught of wave after wave of stronger and stronger creatures and raiders that come after you. You also get your abilities to increase the power of your, what do I want to say, settlement?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a settlement game?
Yeah, base building. I'm really excited for this game, actually. Watching some of the gameplay in the trailers, when the god was summoned, I like almost peed myself a little bit.
I'm glad they went that route of taking elements from Conan Exiles and put it into this game. One thing that I really like is one of the key features of the game is that it's going fully co-op, which you don't really see in an RTS. Working together in one settlement, which I believe, that's how I've seen it, to go after these wave after wave of people working together. Mostly it's usually, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bomb, you know more about RTSs than I do, you usually build your own settlements and your own bases in multiplayer versions of RTS.
It's rare to find a game that's RTS that you actually co-op and work together. Like, a lot of times, you can be together on a group and you're just fighting against these enemies. So you either take, one enemy yourself and the other takes another, but they have games like Red Alert 2, I believe it was, or was it 3, you actually built in the same area. Like, you pretty much used the same bases, you kind of split funds, everything.
I'm really excited for the co-op end of it as well. It is something that would actually get me into an RTS if I had somebody else there to show me what I'm doing, when I'm doing something wrong, what I could be doing better. And at the same time, it's just more fun to play with somebody else. It does look like one of those games, though, where if you're not cool and communicating with your friend, you're going to want to start punching them in the face because they're not going to be thinking along the same lines as you, and everything's just going to fall apart. That's hence the term cooperative.
Hey, you, what are you doing over there? What are you doing over there with all of those thralls? Oh god, you're going to summon a god, aren't you? Aww.
There's no wave. You're in between waves. There's no point in summoning it.
Yeah.
You waste half the time of it. You don't even take out the good part of the wave with it. And then they're still starting to build settlements for no reason. Yeah, I can see the frustration in that. But I think he kind of nailed it better that at the beginning, that it's going to be able to take this skilled player of an RTS and help out a newer player to the RTS genre. And, just get them in it without it being too stressful for them.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm sure there's levels of difficulty within it itself, and also increasing in difficulty as the game goes on.
Right.
So it's a very gradual, I would say, or at least it could be a gradual introduction to the RTS genre if you're brand new.
Right.
If you had somebody like Bomb playing with you.
From watching the cooperative video, it also didn't seem like it was too complicated of a builder RTS game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It seems, and I hate to say it, because it looks good, but the mechanics, and I haven't played it, so I'm saying this with like a grain of salt, kind of jumping the gun on it. It very much looks like this could just be a mobile game, if they really wanted it to be.
Yeah, I see the possibility for that too.
But maybe it's just the style that they've decided to go with. Don't need to overcomplicate a good story with a good mechanic with all these other bells and whistles. Maybe that's what it is.
I think it really is the style, simply because just think of Conan in the time that it is. Yeah. It is a very, like, medievalish type time. There is nothing really fancy going on. Barbarians are always assaulting everything like that. So, like, you're not going to have a real lot of stuff going on. It's not going to be nice and flashy and look at these castles over here and look at that over there. It's so beautiful. It's look out for the big scorpion.
But if, like, Conan the Barbarian doesn't have, like, a good bathhouse at least, you know what I mean? Like, they should at least incorporate a really detailed bathhouse.
True.
Conan the Barbarian game, that's a staple.
I remember that game for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Here, it's woman, I'm going to rip these chains off, you're saved.
There you go. Conan. I like the story of Conan. If you're following that kind of, like, sword and shield, mythical kind of fantasy genre, because it's really grimy. They don't hold back from the possibilities as to what this kind of world really would be, whereas other story elements would kind of fluff it up a little bit because they want it to seem a little bit more kid-friendly, I guess.
I like that it's coming from Funcom, because they make Exiles, and who better, like, when Exiles and all that was first announced, they're like, we're gonna make a Conan game that's like no other Conan game. We're going to add all of the lore in, everything like that. And, well, the fact that they have the franchise is just awesome. I think they did really good on Exiles. I'm excited to see this RTS.
That's what got me excited, seeing the trailer and how they pulled the god, or how Conan was summoning the god. I was like, that's exactly from Exiles. And the cinematics look just like the cinematics in Exiles. And Exiles, in my opinion, is a really good game if you got the people to play it with. So to see it in an RTS world, that's good. It's opening up the possibilities of more. Maybe we'll get another good Conan MMO or something like that. Exiles is kind of that already. That's kind of like a server-based, smaller groups.
Survival games like I consider MMOs, but I don't at the same time, because they're not MMORPGs like we know it, but they're still MMO survival games.
Right. Maybe we'll get an RPG element from this at some point in the future. But they're doing a lot of good things with the Conan name. At least in the last couple of years, I think. So who knows, this game's probably going to destroy it.
Oh yeah, since they got the franchise, they've been doing amazing things with Conan. I'm excited to see a lot more Conan things to come.
Yeah, and definitely keep an eye on Gameology.news. We're definitely going to have more about this. We're constantly getting information about this game. Now that it's starting to come closer to the release date.
Me being the RTS fan I might actually get this and review
it. There you go.
It doesn't come out till May 30th, so we got quite a ways and a lot more information to come. More information also keeps coming in about The Sinking City, a detective game, where you take the role of Charles Reed and scour the streets of Oakmont, investigating the cause of supernatural elements and madness that are devastating the town. You're completely on your own for the investigation, helped only by your observational skills and your trusty notebook. It kind of reminds me, from watching the video, of kind of like an Indiana Jones style gentleman. Mm-hmm. You'll explore crime scenes, collect information, question the inhabitants, and again, as you watch the video, the inhabitants, again, air quotes, it's going to be a popular thing, are not quite what you would imagine. And it's heavily detective. It's based on works by H.P. Lovecraft. While some challenges might be easily resolved, others will require using Reed's unique abilities, such as retrocognition, that allows you to replay past scenes. It takes place in the 20s. An action game, investigation game. It comes out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
I really like these types of Sherlock Holmes style games that are coming out, like, because they show that it doesn't need to be everything fighting. It doesn't have to always be killing. Why can't we ask questions and look around and, oh my god, here's a pipe over here, but you said you don't smoke?
Yeah. It's definitely for those of us with higher intelligence. And Charles Reed.
Thinking games. Yeah. For us that just want to shoot things and grunt. This isn't for us.
But from the trailers I've seen, Charles Reed is not normal.
I don't think there's anything normal in that game going on. I mean, just an inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft. What you think is potentially going to be normal is going to turn out to be the most unnormal.
Oh yeah.
And I think they've kind of nailed it, at least in the supernatural element of the things that you deal with within the game. It's got that real Cthulhu-like vibe going on.
Oh yeah, we just talked about this in the last thing. There's a lot of these like Lovecraftian type games coming out now where they're like using parts of the work or whatnot. Even Fade to Silence with the giant spaghetti monster.
Yeah, it's a theme that's happening right now, and it's not a bad theme to follow. Not at all.
No, we have worked everything else out. Like everybody does steampunk, and now we're gonna start doing cyberpunk out the butt. And let's go back to some old stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. Just refreshing it, giving it better graphics, but it's the same stories. There's nothing wrong with those stories.
Exactly. Like I said, it seems like a Sherlock Holmes style game to me, and that's really interesting. If only there was a Watson, but it seems like you're alone in this adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty much very alone. Even the cops don't like you.
Yeah, that's what I noticed as a description about the game, is that nobody even wants you in that area. Even though you were sent there to help out for some reason or another, the people of that area are just...
People?
No. Well, the things of that area.
They were once people.
I wonder how much action is really going to be into the game. Because they say it's kind of an action detective investigation story.
I'm sure that he's got to shoot his gun a couple of times.
I imagine it's sort of going to be along the lines of L.A. Noire, because a lot of these like Sherlock Holmes style games take homage from all the questionings and everything he had to do to find the right murderer.
Okay. I mean, I'm down for a good mystery detective game. My only problem with them is that I do get bored out of the constant investigating and very little action. So, if there's enough action like they're describing, I could see this turning out to be a really good, successful game.
Yes.
But again, that's just my personal opinion. There's people that love detective games love them because there's very little action. Probably it's the investigation that they like the most.
Oh yeah, it's a rough one along those lines of investigation games. Like you have the games like Detroit Become Human and all of those that are along that same lines where there's no real fighting, but there is action because of you have to quick hit this button and you're running out of this when you're in an action scene. This looks like it's a lot more you control the character third person and get to investigate, which makes it a lot nicer, instead of just quick action buttons.
Very cool. We've got a lot of information about this game over the last month, 2 months. Not even month, really. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more.
It comes out on June 27th.
Oh, this is the one that comes out on my birthday. That's right.
Yay! Sweet, so we should be able to potentially get a key for the game.
I'm hoping.
That would be nice. Dora, this would be a game up your alley to probably dive into.
There's no swords and shields, but I guess.
So what?
I guess.
You gotta broaden your horizons. Link isn't the only hero you need to worry about.
Are you sure?
This is like the more detailed version of that one game that you were playing. Where you were put into an office, you take over your father's place or something like that.
Oh, Beholder 2.
Yes.
Yeah, but Beholder 2 is I'm gonna move all the way to the left. Now I'm gonna move all the way to the right. And I'm gonna go back left.
True, yeah.
This is much more open.
Now slide to the right.
This isn't the cha-cha.
Darn.
Well, the simplicity in the movement can move us on to the next game that we're going to talk about. Aces of the Luftwaffe Squadron. Why do I want to say an L on the D?
Scoldrin.
I don't know. Scoldrin.
You're from the...
I'm scolding.
You're a Scoldrin.
Scolding. Squadron. There we go. The critically acclaimed bullet hell shoot 'em up Aces of Luftwaffe gets a free demo. The game's been out for a while, but now they're actually putting out a free demo on the Nintendo Switch for you to try out. Action-packed shoot 'em up with explosive special effects, captivating storyline with fully voiced characters, and that's selling it short. The character interaction in this game between all of the good characters, the main pilot, and his up to three co-pilots that can be with him, flying their own separate jets, constantly interacting and talking with each other, and then the villains that are in the game will, in the middle of all of the action, start having dialogue with you. The dialogue is magnificent in this game. It's really character driven. Epic co-op multiplayer for up to 4 players. So yes, the main jet and 3 others. 25 levels and exciting missions, 6 spectacular bosses, skill trees with individual abilities for each wingman, challenging achievement system. So much.
It's a bullet hell style game, a shoot 'em up. Like, what I like about this is that it has voice characters instead of having to read it, because reading that stuff while dodging bullets was just a big pain back in the day. Like, I haven't played this one before, but seeing that it has a free demo, it actually tempts me to want to go and try it out. I haven't played one in a while.
Well, I'll let you know now. Check in the description below, because we'll have a link for it.
Sweet.
For you to check it out. Boom. But I haven't played one of these games in years. And I thought I might even try it out myself, because it really looks like a nice shoot-'em-up game. And just the interaction alone, I think, is what I like. And you're right, since you don't have to read it anymore now, and they actually completely do all of the voice acting work for it, you get to experience that part of the story instead of just I'm shooting this guy, and I'm going to do this for like 30 hours. And it's kind of the same thing over and over again. It just gets a little bit more challenging. Except this game seems like it gets a lot more challenging. It seems like a very difficult game.
Oh yeah, a lot of these bullet hells are difficult. When they say 25 levels, you're like, oh, that's nothing. I can beat that in no time. And then you figure out that, oh god, this is hard.
Yeah, because each level is going to have stages to it, I would assume. Multiple bosses per level. I don't think that it would be one boss per level. I mean, sure, mini bosses, but still some kind of bosses that you would get to. I don't know, though. What do you think?
I haven't seen any end videos, but I have seen that there are quite a few bosses. Normally in a game like this, you would go through like a zone trying to get somewhere, and every so many zones you would come across a boss.
What do you think, Dora?
I don't know. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. It says it has a captivating storyline, 25 levels. I mean, bullet hells...
Would it be a game you would play?
Not really. They're more like a time killer kind of thing.
Agree with you.
I don't really get into that too much.
Compared to today's style of gamers, this isn't a game that would hold the attention of a gamer for too long. So being able to just pop on and just play a little bit and then pop off. But I think that's kind of what it goes for. So
I enjoy these games, but I tend to enjoy playing them like the more classic way. But we'll talk about that a little later on in this episode.
The next game doesn't come out until October. I already looked it up. October this year.
Prepared.
Overpass. Not sure what you get from the title. I know looking at the title and on the website, the image is just Overpass. You have no idea what to think from it. Well, you take control of powerful buggies and quads, scrabbling across extreme tracks and very hazardous terrain. It's a simulator that pits players against craggy slopes, and puts their cool-headedness to the test throughout technical obstacle courses in the wilderness. Apparently, there are technical characteristics. They reproduce buggies and quads from brands like Yamaha, Suzuki, and Arctic Cat. Of course, there's a career mode.
Of course.
You manage buggies, quads, and choose the best one adapted to each track and terrain type in order to win. And you attract sponsors.
So let's just be real. Alright, guys. We try and fluff up some games, but let's be real. This is just a simulation game.
It is just a simulation.
This is Trucker's Highway.
It's actually something I would probably play. That's the rough part.
Really?
Because
I mean,
I'd like to do this stuff in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I can see that appeal. And it does kind of capture that going out mudding, four-wheeling, romping around on the not so open road. But I think this would be, to kind of go back and relate to last podcast conversation, I think this would make a good VR game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To put you in that actual seat. Now, even make it better if you could be in one of those seats that would bump you around as you're driving. But it doesn't look so good as a console or a PC game. It's got that trucker simulator feel. Mm-hmm. Things look kind of slow. Animation just doesn't seem to fully be there. It's there enough to count, but I don't know. I'm not super excited about these kind of games, but some people love them. And like you said, Bomb, if you want to go out there and do that stuff, but we all can't afford these awesome Yamaha, Suzuki quads and whatnot, at least you can play a simulation game.
Oh yeah,
I like how get the visual reference.
I like how you can look around the actual vehicle and whatnot of it, because it simulates then. So how those actually work, I've been to like some rock climbs and whatnot, and you actually have the better vehicles have cameras underneath them, and you have someone walking along with you that's spotting to make sure you can make this or move rocks here, things like that. So it's really cool that they're getting to this kind of simulation, but I still think we should have stopped at golf.
There you go.
Sid Meier's.
No, Mario Golf.
There you go.
That's
even better.
The only simulation we need, because Mario's got Olympics, tennis, golf, racing,
baseball.
That's all we need.
So for a game like this, though, there's really not much to say about it, really, guys.
No,
I think
if you like simulators,
if you're a fan or whatnot of ATV or like any of that stuff, you'll probably enjoy it. But for the rest of us, it's one of them pass right on through things.
It's not going to be an expensive game, I would assume. $30 price tag, most. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
It's probably already out there, but I'm guessing.
I don't know. It comes out in October, so they don't really have a price on it yet.
That's true. Alright, well, I'm putting my prediction out there. This game is any more than $30.
Tommy will eat his hat.
I will eat my hat, yes. I'll have to get a hat first. I'll make sure it's made out of fondant or something.
That works.
What about one of those elasticy, sweet tart ones?
I mean, if it's a gummy, that'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like gummies.
I'll get you one of those massive gummy worms. Have you ever seen those?
Oh my god.
And I'll just wrap it around your head.
Diabetes is kicking in.
Anyway.
They're like 10 pounds. 10 pound of gummy? Can you imagine eating 10 pounds of gummy?
No. I don't even like gummy worms to begin with.
I'd make the little one help me.
One flavor? Oh god, that'd be rough.
Yeah.
For more information about these games and others, every day we're getting more and more. Go to our website, Gameology.news. And if you would like to support us, our website, the podcast, we do have a Patreon, so please join the Gameology Discord community. And if you're a streamer, or you're maybe looking for someone to watch, we are partnered with Stream Troopers, who also have their own Discord community, which, going back around, is on the website, gameology.news. And speaking of streaming and games, esports?
Yeah, they seem to be going hand in hand anymore, don't they?
They really do. They really do. Whoever thought that sports would be associated with video games? Back when I was in school, there was either sports or video games.
Yeah. Nerd or jock.
Yeah, there was no blurring the line. There was
jock nerd, nerd jock. What? Yeah. What do we call this?
We live in a PC world now. You can't say these words.
Nerd.
Nerd. I like that one.
But I mean, esports in itself, yeah, it seems to be doing some things. Like you were mentioning before, Dora. Going into like schools now, like it's actual school events.
It's programs in school for esports.
That's crazy.
Popping up in K through 12. High school esports leagues. College varsity esports programs. It's just as popular as football. It really is.
Well, didn't I hear somewhere that it was being included in the Olympics? Some games were.
Yes. I heard that too. I don't know if there's a real truth to that because I haven't dug into it. But
when are we gonna get Super Smash Brothers in the Olympics?
That might be what it is.
Maybe. I'll be there.
Now, I'm a fan of sorts of esports because it gives people that play video games and want to be in the video game industry, but maybe just don't have the connections or whatever to make games, or don't have the money to go to schooling and whatever to be able to do this stuff, or even while they're in schooling can make money. It gives these kids. And I stay with kids for the most part, and young adults, because that's who it's mostly demographically aimed towards.
They're just more ambidextrous with their fingers than us old people.
It's true. Listen here, youngins, you lose that ability. You're in your prime now. But it gives them the opportunity to make some money in healthy competition. I do healthy in air quotes because there's still rivalries and stuff that build. Esports has been going around. Or been going on for a very long time. Yeah. It's just recently become really popular. I mean, we used to have things like tournaments of sorts that magazines would do in like the 90s. Video game.
Unreal, that's what made Unreal so famous. It was pretty much just for tournament. Unreal Tournament.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, tournaments and stuff for video games have been in existence for a while, but esports is really starting to bring these things to light and allow you to root for your favorite team or whoever. I think Overwatch really helped out with this pushing through because the game was kind of just like Unreal, made in a way to, be a pushing part of the esports industry.
I'm happy they're building arenas now, like the Philadelphia Phantoms, are they? Probably calling them the wrong thing. But for esports. They're in
Vision. Fission.
Okay.
I think. Oh, they're going to butcher us if we're wrong.
Cut all that out,
Philadelphia
right?
Fusion.
Overwatch
That's what it's. Fission.
League.
Well, they're building a nice capacity arena for events right here on the East Coast. So that's awesome. Like, I can't wait for more of that stuff.
It brings in a lot of money, and they are able to give a lot of money out to these competitors. So I see it mostly as a win-win. It's still young. It's still juvenile. It's learning the ropes of the industry. What corrupts the current industry that we have now with competitive sports is eventually going to hit esports as well. So expect that in the future. It's inevitable.
That's unfortunate.
It's already hit like MLG, which is why MLG is on the decline.
Yeah. I mean, they're one of the OGs for competitive. But to kind of go back to the beginning topic of it being in like schools and stuff, like, I'm not a fan of that. I don't want my child to glorify video games. I enjoy the fact that he enjoys video games, and I can enjoy them with him. But to learn only about video games and focus so much of your youth on video games is, in my opinion, not healthy.
No.
What are you going to do when the video game that, one, makes you popular is no longer around, and two, you're too old and you start to come off as creepy? You know, what's your real-world job going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you put enough time into it that... Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibilities can open. I mean, you spend enough time in it, you could end up becoming like a marketing something for something or another. Like, it's a possibility, but in my mind, I would much rather my child learn basic human abilities in school than to focus so hard on a video game.
Right.
And competing in a video game.
When you're... Let's just take this back to traditional sports, football, basketball, soccer. You, it is after school, but it affects you during school as well. You have to maintain your grades in order to continue being in that sport. And I'm sure the same thing is for the esports, since it is like an after-school activity. It's a program. But...
It's not going to make healthy kids.
No, it's not. Just like with the sports, it kind of just becomes them. And we all know video games are not necessarily healthy. They do generate some type of an addiction in some people.
Yeah.
So it comes back to, again, like with the VR thing that we talked about. Everything in moderation, but we're very bad about that in this day and age.
Well, yeah, as a culture, we're going that way. Just think about this. The Overwatch League was broadcast here on ABC. Everybody watched it.
Yeah, it was huge.
Right. And while it's great that games like Overwatch and whatever else is in esports...
I'm glad it's getting exposure over, say, baseball and those other things that had it for years, and now there's just a bunch of corrupt, money-hungry people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this competition opening up in the entertainment world for sporting events. So, I mean, that it breeds healthy competition. My concern, though, is just, I can get behind football, I can get behind all the other sports that you do because they're physical activities. Not only does school sharpen the mind, or at least it's supposed to sharpen the mind of your child, it's making your child a more physically abled human being. Now, you take away the potential hours that somebody would be spending on a field and you put them in front of a TV, and, you know, they don't make the best decisions as to what they're going to put in their body.
No.
I mean, I guess that, you know, you got to also fall in the responsibility of your parent, but, like, even putting your kid on, like, a strict rice and chicken diet because all they do is sit around and play video games all day, like, that kid's going to be sneaking junk food, you know what I mean? But they're not moving. They're not getting blood flow.
Right.
But what you do is you buy the VR headset for them, and then you buy the VR trackpad that they, you know, put their waist in and run on, so that's how they have to play their games. Oh, you want to play your games? You're going to experience it. You're going to run it.
I mean, I would actually, if they're going to go that route, and I know I said I don't like VR, really, because of that, but that would be a substitute in my mind.
They have
you really want to go and become competitive? They have one of those at the arcade that we have here now.
Oh, nice.
They tried to get me in it, and I put the headset on, and I got dizzy instantly. I almost fell.
I don't blame you.
So, it really does take you to a different world. It's insane. It's a different experience than I've ever experienced in video games. Too much for my mind to handle. But I don't know. Esports outside of just, you know, the school, there's a lot of controversy that's starting to pop up with it now. So what I was saying is that it's coming to you. It seems like it's more along the lines of the people competing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people getting caught cheating. within these competitions.
We're gonna have steroids for esports, whatever that will be.
Exactly.
Something you put in your eyes.
1,500 people in the official Fortnite tournament, the last one, got banned, like perma-banned, for cheating.
Oh, yeah. And there's, right now, and I'm glad you brought that up, there's a potential that there's these two guys that could potentially win the $50,000 prize, and it could be true that they're cheating.
Oh,
there's no.
Gosh.
That's what's hard about this. Is to find hard evidence. Yeah, like you can see suspicious activity, and you could have probable cause, but do you have the hard evidences that are recorded conversation of this guy being like, "Hey, meet me here so I can get that free kill." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you don't have that, so how can you really say it? But when you watch videos of it, it's so clearly that these are supposed to be like the best of the best, and this guy is just like, oh, I'm just gonna like appear right in front of you and teabag the ground for no reason. Like, no, like that's not how these kind of players play. And for you to do that is kind of suspicious. So we might run into an issue where a cheater might actually win all of the money. So how? Because steroids being a thing that you can clearly test in physical sports, it seems to be so much easier to cheat in esports.
Oh yeah, especially if you have one of them little dots right in the middle of your monitor.
That and like they don't. Not every tournament is done from a convention center or something.
Oh no, some are just
sometimes
online.
Yeah, so you don't know what the person that's entering this competition is running in the background. I mean, they have the tools to find out. But these people are getting crafty. You can't detect everything.
Oh, they are. What was it? Last year, a team got thrown out entirely of MLG and Halo for cheating. They, like, explicitly just went and jumped off the map so the other team couldn't kill them. They did it live, right there at the competition, and it's like, that's cheating, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna have it though. There's been cheaters in all physical sporting events that have ever happened. There's always gonna be cheaters.
I'll wait till the League of Legends ones come out. That'll be some salt and rage there.
Well, speaking of that, there was a controversy that I heard about a couple months ago that a big League of Legends team fired their entire team and replaced them with a bunch of like good-looking girls, and they did terrible.
What?
And not only did they do terrible, but the team that they were against punished them for basically being a PR scheme.
Oh, that's funny.
To follow the whole like Me Too movement, and drew the game out to the very end. Like didn't just like power rush their core and destroy it. They like kind of like BM'd them a little bit and let it just prolong. And it was like a half-hour to 45-minute long game.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and they were just they couldn't do anything. And they were just kind of like making an example of like, this is who you replaced your actual professional team with. It was a bunch of like just girls that may have played the game, but
there's a difference
clearly was a PR
bronze
stunt.
And platinum style players.
Yeah. So like that was pretty funny. I've heard about that kind of stuff when it comes to League of Legends, because they really hit that Me Too movement hard with trying to prove that they're not a sexist company.
Yeah.
Well, I feel their game is for everybody. I personally don't enjoy it, but I don't like MOBAs as in general. But for people that do, it seems like a very fun game. Like, they have a lot of, like, everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the people that love League of Legends, regardless of how stressful it is to get to that next tier and whatever. It's just like any other game, like Overwatch, that people either love or hate completely. But they're doing some weird things, and in their esports communities, it seems. I feel like it's just the idea that everybody has to be way too PC is just affecting everything anymore.
And
you know what I mean? Like, I'm all for an all-girl team if they're good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to give girls the opportunity to do stuff just simply because they're girls.
Right.
I feel like that's wrong.
It's an insult to girls in general.
That's what I think. But there's a lot of women that are just like, we deserve that. And I don't want to take this into a Me Too discussion because we're about video games. But at least in the video game industry, you're starting to see more things like this pop up, where certain girls, and we'll even go into the movie industry, certain females, I should say, are getting things that just like seem like they're just being handed to them because they are female. And right now, it's just trying to not put my foot in my mouth because I don't want to offend anybody, because I very much believe in strong, hardworking women.
I feel that way about video game movies. Have y'all seen the Sonic trailer?
Oh my god. I don't even want to. Ew. Yes.
The good, the bad, or the ugly.
Pokemon in real life.
Hey, that Pokemon detective actually looks good.
The Pokemon are creepy, though.
Yeah, they are creepy as hell, but like, at least they kind of hold true to the anatomy of what their cartoon characters look like. They just made them realistic. Like, Sonic looks nothing like Sonic.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody earlier, and they said Sonic kind of looks like they let the guy that made Ugandan Knuckles animate Sonic. Like, he's Ugandan Sonic.
Oh my god. Speaking of that, there's like a whole Reddit thing going on right now where they're saying that he's going to make an appearance, Ugandan Knuckles is going to make an appearance in the Sonic movie.
I mean, I will go out there and defend whoever designed the Sonic, that for the design of Sonic to make him a little bit more real, since I guess he's supposed to be in the quote-unquote real world. See, there's those air quotes again. Mm-hmm. They did, I think, the best that they could possibly do. Because, let's face it, you have a Sonic the Hedgehog who's got long skinny legs, long skinny arms, giant feet, giant hands, huge eyes. It just, in no sense of the word, is realistic.
Right.
But now we're trying to make it CG and like it is real. His eyes and his mouth.
The mouth threw me off.
Has anybody seen... Go ahead.
No, go ahead with your point.
Has anybody seen any of the other characters other than Sonic and Robotnik Dr. Eggman?
No. In the trailers that I've seen, I've only seen Sonic. I haven't seen Tails or anybody depicted.
It seemed
I haven't
like
even seen
Sonic
pictures.
Is the only one that came through. And one thing I did pick up from the trailer, which is the weird part, is, did you notice he threw a ring and it teleported them?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's how Sonic actually got to this place, but he doesn't know how to get back to his own home.
Oh, there we go. It's a possibility.
It's been done like that in Sonic games.
Yeah. If that's the case, honestly, if that's the storyline that they're going with, I think it would make sense. But I think that they could get away with making a really cartoony looking Sonic then.
Yeah, I agree.
Because his world would be more cartoony.
I think they ruined it with, the Grinch and, the Cat in the Hat, all those movies that they did, because we had to make it look real, and it couldn't look like cartoons anymore.
Yeah. It's hard to go from that extreme of a cartoon look to a realistic look, and I'll give them credit, they tried. As in Hedgehog that has the legs of Usain Bolt, I'll give them credit that they at least attempted to make an anatomically correct, faster than light Hedgehog. I don't know how it would really look, but they tried. They just failed at it, though. Unfortunately, and I'm surprised that nobody in their creative department was just like, people are going to hate this.
Maybe they spent too long looking at it. Honestly, it's like when I create a character, and that is not a simple task for me by any means when I can use scrollers. But you need to get up, walk away from your project, take a day if you've been looking at it too long, come back to it, and just reevaluate where you're going with it. I just kind of feel like they didn't do that. Did they get an outside opinion anything at all. It's gonna get as much criticism as the Mario Brothers movie did.
It already is.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the comparisons.
Yeah. They're even making up memes that we're going to have a live action Super Smash Bros.
I've seen the YouTube ad for trying to make it look like there's going to be Smash Brothers. And I mean, that would be incredible, but that's not going to happen. That's not where this is going. It's not like Avengers or Marvel or anything.
No.
But...
And, I mean, we got to kind of make it clear, to you guys that, like, we're talking about the movie, yes, but we're talking about the movie because we're so very much fans of the video game.
Well, that's the thing.
Who didn't grow up with Sonic the Hedgehog?
I think they're portraying him off of the first Sonic, because if you really think about it, Sonic did have really lanky arms and legs.
Yeah.
In the games, like when you saw him on the box art, when he popped up with his hand waving, all that, Sonic. But his face, the head. There's just something wrong with the head to me.
There is. It's too human. His face is too human. Can I do a better job? Absolutely not. But
I could.
I think that opinions needed to be asked for. Hey, you've been playing Sonic the Hedgehog since you were 2. What do you think?
Exactly.
Wait a second.
That's what gets me.
We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog franchise here. No questions were ever asked when making a Sonic game, like, why was there a Sonic Werewolf game? And why did Sonic jump through rings? And why did Sonic do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fantastical element of Sonic and his world. I don't care what happens in his world. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I am, however, excited for Robotnik Dr. Eggman. Being Jim Carrey. At first, I was like, wait a second, why didn't you put him in a fat suit? But then I watched the trailer and I was like, this is gonna be epic. So this may be a movie where, okay, so maybe they deviated from the original design, but I think this movie's gonna be about the villain. Nobody's gonna care about Sonic.
You already see that now, that people are happier to see that Jim Carrey's in this movie, and pretty much that he's going to carry this movie.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
But I'm not happy about the look that they gave Dr. Robotnik. Now, they gave you a sneak peek in the trailer of what he's going to look like, I'm assuming, towards the end, or at least the climax of the story. He's going to be transformed into the Robotnik that we know now. So maybe they're going to follow later depictions of Dr. Robotnik, where he kind of had like a tire-like belly region, but very skinny, long legs.
Yeah.
Because he's in that Snidbit scene that you see, he does have the burnt mustache that's really red now, and his hair is black, I believe.
He goes bald at the end.
Right, yeah. But during the trailers, if I remember correctly, when you first see him come out and talk to the soldier guy, he has got black hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his mustache is all like pressed and nice and everything like that. And then that Snidbit you see, he really turns into like a bomb went off in his face, Dr. Robotnik. I'm wondering if they're going to put him, because you don't really see a full body, if they're going to put him in like a suit of sorts that makes him look a little bit more round in the torso region.
Maybe.
Thinking, kind of disguising it as like a mechanical device that's around him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm also kind of disappointed about?
What?
In all of the Sonic games, Dr. Robotnik stole the animals to do stuff.
They were the inhabitants.
You don't see bunnies. Yeah, you don't see little bunnies flying his machines.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, why not? That would be an element that you could introduce into it, that Dr. Robotnik brainwashes bunnies and squirrels to fly his machines, and Sonic saves them when he destroys the machine.
Wow.
So not only does this coin pop out, all of these little critters are just now starting to scurry away, just like in the game. And that would add to the comedic appeal of Dr. Robotnik. And just because Sonic is a very funny, comedy-driven game, even when it gets serious.
Only thing serious about that game is Knuckles.
Yes. Emo before emo existed. He's the true OG. I don't know. I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to lie. Am I being very critical of it? Yes, but that's because I love Sonic, and Sonic was one of the very first books I ever read. So, I'm a fan of Sonic. and I'm not happy with what they did with it. But I'm still going to watch it. I'm just going to view it on the mindset that it's not a AAA kind of movie, and it's more of like a B-rate movie. Even though it is a bigger company that's producing it and everything, but I'm just going to act like, oh, this is an indie film.
Which, speaking of Sonic, that brings us to our next topic. All of these new little consoles that are coming out that are playing these classic games, and what they're doing to emulation, and do you think emulating games are good or bad?
Good question. My personal opinion, I love it. I love being able to play games on my PC that existed years and years and years ago that I wouldn't otherwise be able to play. Like Dungeons & Dragons for the Sega. I forget the full title of the game. Other Sega console games, any PC, or not PC, but PlayStation games. I mean, anything that came out before these next-gen consoles that we have.
We've worked our way up into next-gen emulation. I'm a big advocate of emulators and emulation for things that I own. Like, I own tons of 360 games and PS3 games and even console titles, and for me to have all of that old stuff out in one spot, it's very clutterous, even though I'm proud of my collection.
Yeah. Now, one spot that I've seen it be a sore topic to talk about in emulated games is when it comes to, like, MMOs.
Yes.
You see people getting in a lot of, like, legal trouble for trying to put MMOs out there as an emulated game. I can understand why, because it being an online game, it's a little bit different than putting a single player out there and formatting in a way that it'll play off this emulated software or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, like, let's use a very popular one, for example, right now. EverQuest P99 Blue server is a completely emulated game that's only featuring, like, the first couple expansions of EverQuest back in 1999 to like 2001, and they stay on that. They don't deviate and start including newer content, but they have an agreement with Daybreak that they're allowed to do that as long as they don't make any money off of it. That seems to be the biggest thing about these emulated MMO servers, is that if you don't make any money off of it, we're kind of okay with it. Oh yeah,
you can't make any money off it. You can't provide a copy of our game. They have to have it themselves, or else they can't play on your server. Like, you're talking about EverQuest. My biggest proprietary to that was Ultima Online. Like, I never actually played on a real online server for Ultima. I've only ever played on Shards, which are free servers. They gave the technology out and away for Sphere for a certain portion of the game, and you're allowed to play that portion of the game or make whatever you want of it, but you can never sell it. You can never sell access to get on it, or else we're going to come after your shard.
Yeah.
How do you define emulation? Let's do this. Let's do this.
I guess it would really kind of be different depending on the kind of game. Like an MMO emulated game, there's really no changing to the code of the game.
Well, you're emulating the server.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Emulation is defined as effort to match or surpass a person or achievement, typically by imitation. Reproduction of the function or action of a different computer, software system, etc. So we've covered MMO emulations, where they have a free server. But what about, I don't know, playing a Nintendo 64 game on your computer? Tommy, you were talking about playing games on your computer.
For that, I would guess it's more like the software that you run that allows you to read the code of the game.
Right, exactly.
So that's probably the emulated. They're more emulating the software of the console for the game than they are emulating the game.
Right. And then you have would you consider like the Nintendo Classic that came out? Is that considered like an emulator?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it would be
an emulator. but it's like one of its own that's not supposed to be hackable, but, you know, everybody goes out and that's what they try and do first.
Right, of course. So it's just, it's very broad. Emulation is very, very broad.
It seems, if you try to break it down to just its specifics, it's the function or being able to have the ability to play a game. So we all know that the consoles don't exist at those times. More than likely, you don't have the game. So like a RAR file is going to be provided to you for that game, or the .io, I don't know whatever they are. But you have to have a program that'll read that.
Yeah, you have to have
coding.
An actual emulating program for each of its own, which I have a lot of those, which goes back to the bullet hell games. Like, I play my bullet hell games on an actual arcade stick because that's how I play emulated.
What's that?
It's called an X-Arcade tank stick. It is a 2-person, like, actual arcade stick, like a fight stick that you would have at your house. It has 8 buttons on each side that you can program for any of your games, and, you know, moves up, down, left, right, or, you know, all the way around.
It looks like the arcade
sweet.
console that you would walk up to in an arcade place to play Street Fighter, but for in your house.
Oh, that's pretty legit.
And it has a roller ball on it for
Yep.
For bowling games, for like arcade bowling games and golf games.
That'd be nice to have something like that. That'd be cool for emulated games.
Oh yeah, cost me a pretty penny, but it is very, very nice.
Now,
but it's never for sale. That's the thing, is when emulating this stuff is everybody tries to make a profit, and that's where it comes in hard, because people are making these Raspberry Pis now, putting all of these ROMs on them and selling them for $200-$300 as a console, a retro console.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Which makes it rough for the rest of us emulator advocates like me, that I'm not going to sell any of these games. I appreciate these games, and I want to give these games credit. Like, I'm never going to take credit away from the person that made the game. It makes me enjoy it that I can play it.
Yeah. See, I'm hitting like an in-between on that. Like, I can see that for consoles, because that's like a published piece of art of sorts. Like, you know, like it's got a cassette or a disc that goes along with it. But for like, and I'm just throwing my own personal bias into this, but for like PC MMOs that have been closed down, that nobody has access to play anymore, regardless of having a disc, and all the money that you spent into the game and put into the game, could be even thousands of dollars if the game's been up for years, all of a sudden popped up and you were able to play it. That's like technically an illegal thing. In my mind, I'm like, why not give them they brought the game back to life, let them make money off of it. Like, I would be okay with it. Obviously, I would be okay with it.
It's one of those, you have to wait for it to become freeware or shareware, so that way anybody can have it, so that way you can create a server of it, which really sucks, because the companies just keep refreshing their IPs, so it never becomes that.
Exactly, and that's kind of what they're doing. I'm going to use one game in particular for an example with City of Heroes, is they just constantly keep taking characters from that IP and introducing it into newer games that they're developing.
Yep.
So it doesn't allow anybody to fall into that category of becoming freeware or shareware or anything like that.
Like Galaxies is in the same state that P99 is, which I loved Galaxies, but I don't have a disk drive in my computer, so I can't put my discs in and install the game and then play on that free server.
You can't if you don't have the disc. There might be ways around it.
I know, but I'm trying to talk the nice way. I've had enough of talking about emulation.
But I mean, that kind of comes hand in hand when it comes to the emulated world. Is you're acquiring something without actually going through the proper routes of getting it in some cases. But if you're not making any money in the end of it, and you're not really stealing anything to try and make money, you're just taking it to enjoy it, nobody else is going to play it because the damn game's 30 years old. So, like, who are you to get mad about somebody emulating it?
Well,
really?
And I guess that's the thing right now, which actually can lead us right nicely into our final topic of why do we want to play these old games? Why do we want to emulate these games when we have supposed such great AAA titles? Are we finally experiencing the decline of the AAA era?
I hope so, because they're garbage. I'm going to be blunt on this topic because I'm just disappointed.
Give me an example, Tommy. Give me an example. What are you disappointed in?
Well, first off, the companies that are making these AAA games is what I'm disappointed in. We'll go with Fortnite, because that seems to be a popular game right now. Came out, guns blazing, great game, great concept, when it was a smaller company that was kicking it off. Then it was bought out and taken over by a bigger conglomerate. And now they are making changes that players hate. You see games like, help me out with it, EA game, right? Just came out, shoot 'em up looter. It's so insignificant and terrible that I forgot the name of it.
Wow, I don't know. Are you talking about Overwatch?
You fly around in like... No, you fly around in like the mech suits. What is that game? I know people... No.
Titanfall? No.
Just came out this year.
Oh.
Just
came out? Anthem.
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 Yes,
That game was really hyped up for no reason. I haven't really seen any footage from any of the YouTubers I watch, and it's been out for a little while.
No, it's a terrible game. The diehards that are actually playing, like 75% of the fan base has just already said that they're done playing the game. And just random polls put together.
That's worse than Battlefront.
People have accumulated. Yes. We're seeing more and more games like this come out where we're promised everything that we've ever been wanting in a game, and then we get an incomplete game every time. Anthem, Fallout 76. Now I know I did a good review of the beta of Fallout 76, and if they would have kept progressing when the game actually launched, It would have been a good game. But what they released during their beta was their launched game.
I blame Ark.
And
yeah, I'll always blame that game. They were kind of one of the front runners of early access. 2 years in early access, they said they're going to fix their game. Then they went live, and then they just continued to add on to their game and said, we'll fix it later on. It's been out now, probably 3, 4 years now?
Yeah, a long time.
Probably 4th year anniversary coming up.
Yeah, they made the mistakes of just constantly uploading and making more information for the game to handle without fixing things.
I went to look at reinstalling it, and you know me, I have all of the DLC for it. You'll never guess how much it is.
I think it's up into like the 90 gigs.
No. It is 249 gigs.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's not even a game.
No. That's half of one of my hard drives. Right now. Like, are you kidding me? I don't think so. I couldn't. That's why when I download that game, though, and do play it, I only play it, and I only download the server or the realm in which I'm going to be playing.
Yeah, you pretty much only have to do the one map only. Because it's like, that's where you get all the other stuff, but it's like, can't believe it's that big.
But, like, speaking of other games that are just doing terrible, that are really big games, look at WoW recently. Their fans are just furious with what they're doing. There's no story anymore to the game.
Mm-hmm.
The constant grind for reputation and daily
and
quests.
The fans are ready to go back to vanilla. They're waiting for the vanilla servers to come out. It's like, okay, you want to go back to the old game so bad. It's like, you know what? Well, just shut the doors right now. Just take their money for however much longer they're going to pay you to play vanilla, and just give them all vanilla, all.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I think what it is just the corporations, and I don't want to say corporations, but just bigger companies are getting involved, the publishers and whatnot, and they're ruining the games for the developers and the fans. I don't want to blame developers completely, because they come up with a good game that gets us excited when we first visually look at it, and then when we get the game, it's not complete, or the things that they said that they wanted to do, they couldn't do because the publishers didn't want them to.
WoW has been around a very long time. Its story, to me, is up. The last expansion didn't seem much different than the last 2 or 3 combined. Same sort of stuff.
There are different ways to die. Some of them are graceful. Some of them are not so graceful. And WoW is just kind of past that gracefulness, and it's just, I don't know. It's just, I've never been a WoW fan, but I've been watching it, and that is an example where the developer, Blizzard, right, is just sell out, maybe?
Yes, they completely sold out. They bent the knee to Activision.
So
straight up.
It stinks.
StarCraft World?
Honestly, this is what I think is going to happen, is that StarCraft and World of Warcraft are going to merge at a later time, because, like you were saying, they pretty much reached the end of their story. The old gods are all we have left to find out about the world of, Azeroth and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We've been into the space realm of dealing with celestials and stuff like that. We've dealt with gods and everything. Now we're dealing with the old gods that basically are the creators and destroyers of everything. We're now starting to get them put into the game. After that, there's no other hidden elements to the world anymore, other than space.
That's the rough part, man, because, see, even Final Fantasy is about to do it with their upcoming expansion. Essentially, you've been the bringer of light this whole time, and now your goddess is going to fight you and try and kill you. And you know what? Now we're just going to go and retell the whole story as you being a keeper of darkness, so that you can fight your goddess.
Oh.
So you play the whole game over again, and their new function, that's a New Game Plus. Yeah, New Game Plus to an MMO, think about that.
Prestige system.
The rough part is people paid to go from 1 to 60 or 1 to 50. Because that's the only way to do it. They don't have a free boost or anything. Oh, you want to get through your story missions to here? Oh, give me $18.
Yeah.
What about console games?
Go ahead.
Well, I guess we talked about Fortnite, Overwatch.
Well, console games are games like... So think about this. Assassin's Creed, one of my favorite series of all times, has had such a giant decline. They tried so hard with the reimagining and rebooting of the series, but for them to follow up a year later with the same exact game just in Greece, it's rough. Mm-hmm. It hits hard again. That's what they said they'd never do to us. And it's same old models.
You see it being successful, though, in other titles within the console world. It seems like the console world has still kind of got a grip on the games that they put out, at least single-player driven games.
Yeah, that's what I really mean more.
Co-op style games. They seem to be a little bit more on the nose as to what people want.
So
multiplayer is taking over, though.
Let me ask you this. Is it AAA games, developers, or is it the Battle Royale style that they're doing? I mean, we talked about WoW a little bit, but does Blizzard have their hand in a Battle Royale game too?
Technically.
Well, I think they do have a PvP Battlegrounds element to their game. I think it really just comes down to cash shop things now. Every game, even it being
Mortal Kombat 11
single player, even being single player or co-op or anything like that, or even could still be played online if you choose to, they're usually mandatory that you have to be able to connect to online anyways to play it.
Right.
Because they have some kind of cash shop or something involved in the game.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like right now AAA games are more just cash grabs.
Yeah.
Hurry up and let's try and make as much money off of these fans as possible. Keep pumping out very similar content and just rebranding it in a different way and calling it number 3.
That's why fans were mad at Mortal Kombat 11 that just came out, is that they have an actual loot type system that you pay real money for to get these things, so that way you can open loot boxes.
Wow. I'm just gonna stick with playing Legend of Zelda, guys. Never done me wrong.
Yeah. There you go. And that's why people play those games. I mean, Breath of the Wild is a piece of shit.
Excuse me! I'm sitting right here!
Yeah, but I still can't get past that boss.
This is where you say that thing to him, Dora.
What?
That know your something thing?
That know your games?
Oh. Fine, I'll grind a little bit.
Remember, everybody, to always know your games and to check out Gameology.news, and we thank you for showing up for this one. We'll see you later.